Hi, welcome to the Homeschool Files. My name is Brenda, and today I'm going to be answering some questions that I've had in the comments section or emailed to me, and I just wanted to address those things. None of them are big enough for a whole video, so we're just going to knock out a bunch of topics today. I'm glad you joined me. All right, first up, this was one that was asked on one of my videos. I'm going to be putting the video that the question or comment was on right up here on the screen. So if you want to see more about that topic, you can go ahead and click on those. So this is the first one. Can you tell us more about the public speaking class that you taught? Absolutely. I mentioned that in this video. I used Speech 1 from Seven Sisters Homeschool. And I used it when my second daughter was in high school. Now, speech may or may not be mandated in your state. I'm not sure. It's public speaking is what I mean when I say speech. I don't mean speech therapy. I'm talking about public speaking course. My oldest daughter was able to do a public speaking course through Toastmasters International. Are you familiar with them? Very cool organization. There happened to be a homeschool chapter of Toastmasters International that met at the YMCA kind of near our house, and a friend was taking her teens and she offered to drive mine, and that was a great way to knock out that subject. But when my second daughter came along, I didn't know if that was still around, so I was like, well, what can we do? So I thought, doing public speaking in front of just your family in your living room is kind of lame. I mean, maybe you have a lot of kids and a big family. Maybe you could gather up friends and neighbors and have them do their speeches. I think that's great. But we had, 4 people living here and she was one of them. And I thought that's not really an audience to do a speech in front of. So I threw it out there for friends on homeschool groups. And we ended up with, I think, about a class of 9 kids. And we met every other week at my church because I don't think any of us had enough room to do the class and keep all of the little siblings that were attached to this class. But we had such a great time. That curriculum from Seven Sisters Homeschool is so easy to use, and it's really fun too. I mean, we really, really did enjoy that class. I just had each of the kids purchase their own ebook. And so they had that, and I taught it, and we just really had a great time. It's more than just public speaking, because it says it's public speaking and practical life skills, and it really was. They learned job interview skills, all kinds of things. And that was really cool, learning the job interview skills. But one of the things that I thought was neat was I watched my oldest daughter when she was graduating high school. A lot of, very well-meaning adults would say, so what are you going to do now? And she was not going off to college. She did not have a clear path of what she was going to do. And so that was really kind of an awkward question. She couldn't just say, oh, I'm going to be attending, fill in the blank of the college name, or I'm going to be working here or whatever. She was kind of still trying to decide. And it's so awkward when teens start getting asked directly those questions by adults. What are you doing this summer? Or what do you, and they're like, and they don't know what to do. So we really talked about how to answer those types of questions. And I watched the kids get so much more confident with that kind of stuff. Then we had some of the parents come in and, sorry, the printer scared me. We had some of the parents come in and ask them point blank, just ask them some questions and kind of put them on the spot and let them practice that skill. Anyway, it was so much more than just public speaking. The only thing that I really did different in that course, I used it pretty much as is, was at the end of the year, I thought, man, they really, really need a big speech, something really big. And so we did our own version of TED Talks. I called them SAID Talks. Oh, now I can't remember what that stood for. Speech and, I can't remember. Entertainment development. I don't remember. I'll have to put it in the show notes. But anyway, we did our SAID Talk, and I'll put a picture up here of what one of the kids looked like. I made the big felt red circle for them to stand on, and we invited all the parents and grandparents to come. And it was a little nerve-wracking for them, but I think they need that. I think they need that. If you want to do a speech elective in your high school or just in your own living room, I think that's fine. But I do think it's good to get them in front of a real audience, to make a big deal, at least a few times. That's part of learning to give speeches, is learning to deal with those nerves. All right. Anyway, that was a great class, great elective. Okay. Number 2, what can you tell me about homeschooling a grade ahead? Okay, the person who commented this was concerned because her son was able to do work about a year ahead, but she thought, I don't want to pressure him. I don't want to make learning not fun. I don't want to, just put too much on him at once. All right. So I have some thoughts about this. And also, I'm going to talk about the opposite, which is a year behind. And this is the main thing I'm going to say right here. They don't have to be in one grade level at a time. Okay? They don't have to be all in second grade. It is perfectly okay for them to be doing fourth grade math, second grade reading, first grade something else, third grade something else. We can roll around in these grade levels in homeschool, okay? We use the one that they need. And also, don't get too hung up on what it says on the front of the book, because I know The Good and the Beautiful runs about a year and a half ahead. I mean, like a half year ahead. It's not really third, it's like third and a half, or it's a little more, especially the math. Some people say teaching textbooks is a bit behind. I've always found it to be pretty good. But it is what it is. As long as they're progressing through the levels, it's good. It's fine. They're going to keep going. They're going to learn everything they need. But don't get too hung up on, he's in fourth grade. He should be doing fourth grade work. He's behind. Or, oh no, he's ahead and I'm pushing him too much. You're going to need to read your kid. Yes, you don't want to push them too much. So that's where you can take the time to just slow down. Maybe you are using a grade level ahead, the curriculum or book that's a grade level ahead, and they might be clipping along, just doing fine. And then they get to a part where they're like, oh my gosh, this is so stressful. Okay, that's my sign to slow down. Maybe I'll even set this book aside for a little bit and we'll do something else. Or maybe we'll just take our time through it. Don't get too hung up on, we're supposed to be on this lesson or we're supposed to be at this part of the book. I know it's so hard to do, but follow your kid's lead. Now, can you just drag it out forever? No, you need to get on with it. Of course, you can't just make second grade last for 4 years, but parts will need to be slowed down on. And then you have to remind yourself too, he didn't get that real well, but you know what? It's going to come up again in another year and another year. It's okay. Math is the one thing I wouldn't push ahead on because they have to have those building blocks. If you don't understand addition, you're not going to get subtraction. If you don't understand this, it just builds on itself. And you really can't skip things in math because you need those lower level skills to be able to understand the upper level skills. So don't skip around on math. Try not to do that. Let them work through it, even if they go fast. Still go through all of the steps. You really want to go through math. I wouldn't skip. Language arts, you might skip ahead if they're bored, if you think they can handle more. If you think they're going too slow, I don't know that I'd pull them a whole year back. Maybe just say, okay, what are we actually struggling with? Let's just stop and do a little remediation here on this skill, okay? Or just give them a little more time to practice or do it together for a little bit. I don't know. Don't get too hung up on they have to be either in first grade or second grade, because I really feel like you can just kind of roam around in where it's needed. All right. I know that's that's a really hard thing to answer without knowing more about, your specific situation, but just try to follow your child's lead and don't worry too much if you're pulling something from a first grade book, a second grade book. Just keep going. Do the next thing. Let them keep moving up at their pace. All right. Number 3. I truly enjoyed this video. The only thing holding back your growth seems to be SEO optimization. Would you like me to run a free test? No, thank you. Number 4. All right, a question about teaching textbooks. Did you notice any challenges by not having the kids do work with a pen and paper? Okay, yeah, that is really actually a very good question. Back when we started using teaching textbooks, it was a textbook, a physical textbook with a huge spiral, very big textbook, and CDs that you pushed into the computer. And they're not like that anymore. I'm sure you can still find those. I'm sure that you can still buy used ones of that, but now they've gone to all online. Even when we had the textbooks, they were printed so small that I ended up having to copy them sometimes and blowing them up, or they had to copy them into a spiral notebook and do the work on another piece of paper because there wasn't room to do a big multiplication problem or a big long division problem in the book. There just isn't room. Maybe off to the side, but anyway, so the books were not everything it's really a skill to be able to take the problem out of the book and copy it onto paper without making any mistakes. And so sometimes I would just do that for them. Or we would just do the work on an erasable board together. I would just say, okay, here's the next one. And I would write the problem for them, hand them the little individually whiteboard, and they would do the work. It doesn't have to be pen and paper, but it is good, especially in the upper levels. The books were not that great, but I didn't think about that. With younger kids, that's really tough. I mean, just having them do it all online. And I know they have the little scratch pad that they can work on, but that's just not ideal either. If it were me, I'd be writing those problems out on paper. I really would. I know that just is extra work for the teacher, but that is kind of a problem. I can see that being an issue with some kids. My daughter's old enough to write them in the spiral herself. I always tell her to number them so if she has trouble, I can go back and help her. She almost never does. It is kind of an issue. I kind of have an issue with how much online stuff we have this year, period. I'm really not liking that. We did not get a big thing of books this year, and I'm not liking that too much. I don't like that when I hear about it in public school, but I'm like, oh, we're homeschoolers. We can do real books if we want to. We can, but a lot of the curriculum has gone to online, and I understand the reasons why, and it's okay, but yeah, that is kind of an issue. I might think more about that one. All right, next question. Looking forward to your science and Bible picks, and could you also share more details on how you use Bible Project? Sure, absolutely. I had mentioned this in this video. I was still trying to figure out what I was going to do for science and for Bible. So science, real quick, what I decided on is I was thinking about doing the history of science. Sunlight has a core that's based on that, but I didn't like the spine books. I didn't care for it, and I thought, that's not what we want to do, but I was still really interested in studying the history of science or of inventors or whatever, and kind of going chronologically through science and the progress that's been made through the years and just like famous scientists of old, I guess. And I really wanted to do that. And in my research and trying to find everything, I finally found Crash Course. Now, my daughter is in 8th grade doing kind of 8th/9th grade work. And so Crash Course is really made for high school and college. I just want to say that Crash Course is not really intended for younger kids. So this is an older kid kind of thing. There's a lot of reasons for that. They talk fast. They have big topics. They have some kind of PG-13 humor throughout there. Haven't seen a lot of that with this one. But anyway, we're using that history of science with Crash Course. Plus library books. Okay, so after we did like Scientists of Ancient India, we checked out a book about science in ancient India, and we just kind of read the parts that were pertinent to us, and we did that. And then I'm having her make timeline pieces of all the famous or things that they're talking about in the videos. So we might only watch one video a week, and we watch them more than once because I read a study that showed Crash Course videos were very, very effective, but they're meant to be watched more than once. They do talk pretty quickly. So we watch the video and we talk about it. We make the timeline pieces. We read about it in library books, and then we watch the video again, and then we move on. And it's been very enjoyable. So it's kind of a different way to do science, I guess. Like I said, science is not required in my state, so I'm not worrying about that because next year she'll be in high school and doing biology and high school science and all of that. So I felt like this was our last year to do something kind of fun and different for science than the expected stuff to be on the transcript. So that's what we're doing there. Bible, what I decided on was we just started with Bible Project. I don't have a full year plan for Bible. You may not do Bible in your homeschool, but if you do, Bible Project is a great website, resource, whatever. They have so much. They have podcasts. They're known really for their videos. They have like explainer videos. And if I were using it, again, this would be a little bit of an older child thing. This is not really for younger kids. But I would use their book overviews. They have an overview video for every book of the Bible. Really, really powerful. I would watch the overview video. I would have your child read that book of the Bible. I would rewatch the overview video, something like that. That can be a powerful thing. Just a great way to start your day. We are doing some of the themes kind of thing. We are doing actually how to read the Bible or the Bible as literature. And they're talking about the different types of literature in the Bible. Right now we're going through narrative and we're learning about the plot, the characters, all of that. It's how to read the Bible. And there's different genres, within the Bible. And so we're just going through those videos taking our time. I'm kind of making her a notes sheet. And I'm letting her fill in some blanks as we go, kind of trying to teach her how to take notes on things while she watches the video. That's pretty powerful. At the bottom of some of their videos, they have transcripts and they also have study notes sometimes. So I'm kind of using those to make my study notes for her and just trying to get the main points across. And I know that's not really a great, it's not a, here's a curriculum, you know, I'm having to kind of do it myself, but I'm liking what we're doing. In the past, we have done grapevine studies and loved it. Loved doing grapevine studies. We've also just done a chronological walk through the Bible and used art journals from Hobby Lobby and just read the story, drew a picture, read the story, drew a picture. And I'm talking about junior high and high, well, upper elementary and high school with my girls. We did that. I just found a like is it Eggermeyer's Bible story book? Ergermeyer's. Yeah, it's a really good one. I'll put it here. Such a good Bible study book, but it has almost all of the major stories that you want kids to cover. And I think we just went through those and read it out of the real Bible and out of that, and then just drew the pictures to go along with it. I don't use a super solid curriculum for Bible, so hope that's hope that's helpful. Bible Project also has theme videos that we did, like their tree theme last year or 2 years ago. That was pretty cool. We just watched their video and then we read every single story that has to do with a tree. There's a lot of them. And then we went back and watched their theme video on trees again. And it just gave us something to work around. All right. Next question. How much input did your children have in the selection of curriculum, and at what age did that begin? Great question. I'm not a big fan of, what do you want to do, honey? Because I'm the teacher and I'm the adult and I'm the one that needs to be picking what they need to do. But having said that, I do get some input from them. I think it started in elementary school, and I would ask them in the summer, and we'd already been homeschooling a few years, what do you want to learn about this year? What are you interested in learning about? One year, my girls, they had to have been in like fourth and first grade or fifth and first grade. Gosh, they covered it. They just filled a piece of paper with what I want to learn about horses, and I want to learn about this, and I want to learn about that. Okay. And we just took a theme at a time and did it. So in addition to their just regular math or whatever they had to do, just the regular curriculum I was using, we would try to do some fun theme thing, you know, every week. Okay, we're going to do horses this week. So I would get horse books from the library, and we would do a horse art project, and we would maybe make some kind of recipe that had to do with it, haystacks or something like that, you know, and just try to make that. That's the fun stuff, guys. Don't leave that stuff out. If your kid is interested in something, find a way to fit it into your school day, because that is the stuff that makes school fun, especially when they're younger. But don't forget to do it when they're older too. If they're interested in something, find a way to work it in. Don't just make school the have-to-dos and the fun stuff. Well, you can do that in your own time. Really try to fit in the things that they enjoy. And so as they've grown, I mean, I've always asked, what do you want to learn about, or which way do you like to learn best? If we learn about, you know, if we're learning world history, what do you like doing best? Do you prefer to do projects? Or would you rather write papers? Would you rather put on plays? I mean, what is it? Have your kids take a learning style quiz or something, and you can figure out what is it that really lights their fire. Oh, some kids just want to put on a play. You know, yes, I'll put on a play about what I learned. Some kids would rather write a paper. I know, they're out there. Some would just want to read about it. You know, so just find out how they like to learn, and that's a great thing. Now, when we got closer to high school, they did have some say, you know, especially like with science, like biology is kind of a standard. But then after that, it's like, do you want to do chemistry, or are you more interested in physics? Like, which one would you rather do? Or maybe marine biology. I mean, just let me know what you like, and we'll figure that out. Foreign language, you know, which would you like to do? One of my daughters did Spanish, one did ASL, and that was just their choice. So they did have some say, especially as they got up to high school. All right, so I hope this was a little bit helpful. I just wanted to kind of answer those little quick questions that weren't like whole videos worth of stuff. I love to answer questions, and I love to help homeschoolers. If you have anything you'd like me to discuss in the next Q&A video, just please drop me a comment below and I will try to get to it. I hope you have a great week.